the McCarthyism really got going. I was still, I had not gotten work in the bindery very long before the FBI came to the door and wanted me to talk about my intelligence. And I said, I just think it's average. And but he wanted questions, and I said, well, you know, all I wanted to do was to make things better for people to be able to have child care and have jobs and things. So they went away. Oh, they said, could they interview my husband? And I said, well, you'll have to ask him. Now, they obviously knew where to go. I don't remember giving them the address. In fact, I don't think I knew where it was. I knew he was in business for himself with another man, and they were building a house over in the Leshai district for a Japanese couple that they had built a little, not laundry, dry cleaning place for over here on Union. Mm-hmm. And he was building this. It was a big contracting job. Mm-hmm. They had to send concrete down quite a thing. Well, they did. They went over and interviewed him.
What year was this? Late 1940s?
Oh, yeah, I think it was. No, the McCarthy period didn't start until you see, what happened was that Nixon, mm-hmm. who destroyed two wonderful legislators in California by calling them communist, Jerry Voorhees and Helen Gahagan Douglas, had been elected vice president, I believe. Or was he just in Congress? I don't remember now. Mm-hmm. But Nixon, they had engineered a bill called the Munt-Nixon bill. He was still in Congress, that's right. He was a congressman. Munt-Nixon bill. The one thing I remember about that bill was that it would make it a very terrible crime to stir up Negro unrest. Mm-hmm. That was part of the bill. I went years and years later, not too many years ago, I called the senator that we got rid of, Slade Gorton's office, and asked them to get me a copy of that bill. And they did. And I've got 2 or 3 copies of it. This was the forerunner of what we later got, and during that period that was so bad, the McCarran mm-hmm. Act and the Walter McCarran Act. The McCarran Act defined communism. They had their definition of what communism was. Mm-hmm. Not only communism, being friendly to communism, mm-hmm. and a lot of words like that. And it was a very, very bad bill. And the Attorney General set up what they called a proscribed list of communist organizations. And I had been a member of quite a number of them. One of them was the Seattle Labor School. Have you had anybody talk about the Labor School at all? Mm-hmm. It was a wonderful organization. A bunch of trade union people got together and organized classes for people. Creative writing, I took one. We had one for children. I was one of the leaders of this children's organization. We took the kids to the picket line and sang picket songs, you know, solidarity songs. We learned the words to the United Nations hymn, which is a beautiful hymn. United Nations on the march, with flags unfurled. I can't remember the rest of the words. It was a beautiful song. We sang Joe Hill, had these kids sing Joe Hill and stuff. This was the kind of thing that we did, and it was put on this list of proscribed communist organizations. That was one of the things that the Evergreen State College had quite a session, 2 or 3 days of a session about the labor school. And there was a man down there that wrote a treatise about the labor school. So it's something you might want to look up, I should think. Anyhow, that was when the beginning of the worst of the anti-communist was. And so that the Velde hearings came later.
Okay.
But even so, I think they were in 48.
Once they had this proscribed list of these groups that you belong to, did they try and get a hold of you right away?
They didn't try to get a hold of me. They went to my employer.
Okay.
And so the lead man, foreman of the job, came and said, Irene, I have to lay you off. Well, they said he had to fire me.
Was this at the bindery?
Yes, it's in the bindery. They said, you got to fire. He said, well, not until I've talked to her. So he gave me a copy of this proscribed list. And I was on several of them. And I had, by that time, somebody in the legislature had filed another right-to-work bill. It was, I believe, Initiative 202. And the unions got people to sign a whole great big, I don't know, Seattle Times, maybe it was, we still had another paper called The Star. I don't remember what paper it was in, where all of us signed against having Initiative 202. And I had also, at that time, gotten involved with some friends, some comrades, that were involved in an organization called the Washington Committee for the Protection of the Foreign-Born. And one of my comrades was a leader in it, and another one of my comrades was a leader in it, and I had been helping do things. And I later became what they called the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, which meant that I was the one to organize we had a lot of dinners, and we invited people and had big programs. We had some wonderful programs. So I had just, I had a whole lot of things on that proscribed list.
Did he immediately fire you then?
No, he just laid me off.
Okay.
Just laid me off. But there was no way. So what I did was go out from the union. And this was before I was going to become a journey person. I had taken an apprenticeship in that shop. And I had worked for what was comparable to unemployment compensation for a few months. And then I think every 6 months I would get an upgrade. And I was just about, this was in November, I was going to be a journey person in February.
Of 1950?
I'm just absolutely blank about what the years were. It was after the Canwell hearing, so no, it wasn't there. So it was in the 50s. Okay. Probably 51, 52, 3, 4. No, I know exactly. It was 56. It was 56. Okay. See, I went in there in 53, and it was in 1950. That's when it was. So anyhow, I went out on the extra list. I did not lose my union membership. And I became a journey person in less than 3 years. But getting work wasn't so hard then, but later on it even got more difficult. One time I was on a picket line for the farm workers. We were great, we still are great supporters of the farm workers. So I was on this picket line over here at Safeway, and somebody in some paper took a good picture of me. It wasn't a bad, I was real pleased with it. Here I am walking with this picket line. And one of the bosses said, and one of my union sisters told me, well, if she's got time to do that, we don't have time to have her here. That was that.